Good afternoon. This is Heidi Myers. I'm an immigration attorney, and today we're going to talk about the recent Presidential Proclamation on June 22nd, 2020, or President Trump's new travel ban. Now, Trump has already issued a number of travel bans, so we're only going to talk about the most recent travel ban, which bans visas for H-1Bs, L-1A, L-1B, H-2B, and certain J-1s. So we're only going to talk about the most recent travel ban and not the other travel bans which are also still in effect. So on June 22nd, 2020, President Trump issued a new presidential proclamation that would bar visas for temporary professionals, managerial or executive transferees. So for example, a manager or an executive working at the overseas subsidiary or affiliate of a U.S. corporation, the L-1B for specialized knowledge workers. That's where, again, where you have an overseas affiliate, parent, or subsidiary of a U.S. company, and this person has specialized knowledge of, say, the company's proprietary IT, proprietary products, and the company in the U.S. wants to bring them there. So those L-1B visas are banned. Then also H-2Bs for temporary seasonal workers are also banned. Seasonal workers, for example, hotel, resort, that type of seasonal work is banned unless it's necessary to the food supply chain. Additionally, certain categories of J-1 visas are banned. So J-1 trainees, J-1 interns, J-1 au pairs, the summer work program, camp counselors, they're all banned under the new presidential proclamation. Now, the presidential proclamation only applies to foreign nationals who were outside the United States on the effective date, June 24th, 2020. That means if you're a foreign national and you're already in the United States, the new ban does not apply to you. So for example, F1 students who have applied for a change of status to H-1B, they have an employer to sponsor them, they're still able to change their status within the United States. Or for example, if you have a manager or an executive here visiting the U.S. parent or subsidiary company and they want to change their status, the company wants to change their status to L-1E, L-1A, executive or managerial transferee, because the foreign national is already in the United States on June 24th, they can still apply for a change of status. So it only applies to those foreign nationals outside the United States on the effective date, June 24th, 2020, and who do not already have a valid visa. So if on June 24th, 2020, you're a foreign national and say you're in Pakistan or you're in India or you're in Italy or wherever you are, and you already have a valid H-1B, or you already have a valid L-1A as a manager or executive, you can still come to the United States. So it only applies to those foreign nationals outside the United States on the effective date who don't have a valid visa and who don't have a valid entry document. Thus, as we discussed, for foreign nationals already within the United States, you can still apply for an extension of status, a change of status. If you're an H-1B with one employer, you can apply to transfer your H-1B to another employer. All right, so what are the visa categories that are not included in the ban? Meaning, what are the visa categories where people are still allowed to come to the United States? Those visa categories include Canadian TNs. So if you are a Canadian or a Mexican citizen, and you have an employer to sponsor you for a TN, and you are on one of the, you qualify as one of the professional occupations on the list, then yes, you can get a TN and you can come to the United States. So for example, if you are a Canadian accountant, you can get a TN and come. If you are a Mexican registered nurse, you can get a TN and come. If you are a Mexican biochemist or a Canadian university teacher, you can still come to the United States. So Canadian and Mexican TNs are still allowed. Additionally, Canada, because of its special relationship with the United States and because of the treaty provisions, there are several categories of statuses where Canadians do not need a visa. And because they do not need a visa, they're not included in the ban. So for example, Canadians can enter as an H-1B or an L-1 without having a visa, so they are not included in the ban. Now, the other groups that are not included in the ban would be Australian E3s, Australian professional workers. Also H-1B1 from Singapore or Chile, professionals from Chile or Singapore are not included in the ban. Additionally, if your country has a treaty with the United States, a bilateral investment treaty with the United States, you can still come to the United States as an E2 treaty investor if you are purchasing an already existing business here in the United States, or you want to invest and start up a new business in the United States. So the E2 treaty investor and the E1 treaty trader are still allowed. The E1 treaty trader is where you have a company abroad, you're doing substantial trade in goods or services with the United States, and you're coming here to continue in that trade. What else? B1 visitors for business are still allowed. Thus, if you're coming to the United States, you're on the payroll of the overseas company and you are not working here. If you are coming, say, to meet with clients or prospective clients, to negotiate contracts, to go to trade fairs, conferences, seminars, you can still come to the United States. Also, there are other categories where you're able to come as a B visitor. For example, if you are a foreign doctor and you want to take the USMLE Step 1, you can come as a B visitor to take the MLE. And the same goes for, say, nurses abroad who want to come and take the nursing exam, the NCLEX in the United States. So basically, those are the categories that are excluded, and then the other categories that are still allowed to come. However, you keep in mind that the Trump administration has already sent back to the United States most of the consular staff of the U.S. embassies and consulates abroad. So all regular routine visa processing is still suspended. The embassies and consulates abroad only have a skeleton crew. They're only able to process real emergencies. For example, a doctor who's going to work on COVID-19 patients, or a U.S. citizen who's having some kind of problems in the foreign country. Now, there are exemptions to the recent travel ban. There's an exemption, for example, for H-2Bs who are essential to the food supply chain. And there's also a national interest exemption if your work is very important to the law enforcement, diplomacy, national security of the United States. Or if you are coming to treat COVID-19 patients who are in the hospital, if you are coming to perform medical research on COVID-19 issues, it's possible you could apply for an exemption under the national interest exemption. But you still have the problem of there are very few staff left at the consulates and embassies over abroad, so they're deluged with thousands of requests, and so it would be very difficult to get that. Now, the current travel ban expires on December 31st, 2020. It expires December 31st, 2020, but it could be extended. The only real solution, folks, is if in the November elections we no longer have the Trump administration in office. That's really the only real solution at this point. So today we were only discussing the most recent travel ban. There are still multiple travel bans in effect. So we're just discussing the most recent one. There are other travel bans in effect, and we won't go over all of them today. So keep in mind that you might be subject to more than one travel ban. So you have to look at how many travel bans are you subject to, possibly. Okay, folks. Oh, one more thing that I forgot. There's also an exemption for minor children under the age of 21 who would age out from now until December 31st. Okay, folks, so that's about it for today. As I said, I am Heidi Myers, Heidimeyers. I'm an immigration attorney. My office is at 11 Broadway, Suite 925, New York, New York, 10004 212-791-4007. And my email is HeidiMyersLaw@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe and like my videos. All right, thank you guys. See you soon. And if you have any questions, if you have any topics that you'd like me to make a video about, please let me know.